So that brings us to session 25, which is the beginning of the Earth Elemental Plane arc, called A Charming Introduction, which was on May 12th, 2019. We're going to try and cover 4 episodes of lore today, maybe 5.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Do our best.
I'll do it.
We'll try.
Len, did you want to start or do you want me to start?
With this, I'm trying to think of this in my head where we were.
Why don't I start
struggling.
and then you jump in? Okay. So the party returns to Tova, the enchanter, who we all know and love now, the next day. And she tells us that the process of turning gold into pyrite regarding the bad bag of golding is likely an alchemical or magical process, and the bag is not likely a pocket plane, which is what normal bags of holding or golding are, but a portal somewhere. She says, I've got 4 of these things in the back. They're all the same. I don't know what the fuck is happening with it, but it's bad. So we meet back up with Finnan, and he and Kokanee start making amends. It's going to be a long process for these two lads to make some amends, but I think that they're underway to doing that. We then go to a council meeting with Kamea. One of the many council meetings that we're at. You're back.
I know where we are.
So they need to start discussing the new positions that need to be filled. The Archmage, the General of the Army, and then, of course, the Monarch, or the ruling position. And we nominate Nissa as the Archmage to help form an alliance with Shinkick and repair relations. And then after that, they're like, yeah, we'll take your thoughts into consideration. Please get out. And we leave. Kokanee then gives Neppy a ring, a platinum ring, and he's like, oh, it's for warding bond. And she's like, oh, yes, of course, warding bond. Wonderful. And we talk about getting others commissioned because they had gone on the platinum hunt the day before. Jar and Nissa finally arrive back in Wolfreen. We take them for a walk through the city. Kokanee speaks with Nissa about Arathis and the Dawn War, and we've convinced Nissa to stay. We're like, hey, this city's not so bad. Bring your people here. There's nothing left in Shinkick. Kokanee's here. He's going to start a new temple of Arathis. It's going to be a good place to be. So we convince her to stay, and we talk about a potential nomination for Archmage and be like, please take it. If they not give it to you, please take it. We then take Finnan, Nissa, and Jar to see Torrhen's grave. And Neppy and Callie sit down with Jar and talk to her about it. I know. And that sweet little baby girl already knew. She was like, he's not here and none of you have talked about him since I got back. And we were like, yeah, okay, you know. So we give her the necklace that Torrhen gave to Neppy as he died. Kokanee, in this moment, Finnan is like, had obviously been quite taken with Torrhen. And we had been like, well, this is his gravesite. He's dead here. So this is why we're all a little messed up. And Kokanee's like, as an olive branch, offers to pray with Finnan. And, Finnan is like, okay, this is like someone I really respect offering me this. So he sits down to pray with Kokanee. And through the middle of that, his patron, Dave, who we now know, or is his will, or Cadmiel, as we have now just recently seen, gets pretty pissed off about the fact that he was sitting with someone who was praying for Arathis and blinds him temporarily. And Finnan doesn't say anything about it. And we notice that he's kind of like stumbling down the hill and we're like, are you okay? Are you all right? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. We're like, and then he's like, I'm just having trouble with my vision. I don't know what it is. And then Neppy's like, well, not all the gods get along. Perhaps whoever granted you your powers doesn't take too kindly to Arathis.
Man, did we know?
Little did we know. So the next day, we attend yet another council meeting at Kamea's request. Hector Turnbuckle, who we had known from before, is named High Counselor. Nissa takes the appointment of Archmage and discusses repairing teleportation circles which Zacchus had destroyed. They discuss the repair process through the town, Croden's Cross, and the hooks down near the docks. They talk about seeking aid from Southwatch, and at this point, a delegation from Barmwich arrives. the glitter guard.
Oh, fuck.
Yes. So into the chamber walks Fildo Thorngage, the governor of Barmwich. He is announced. We didn't know he was coming, accompanied by like 6 glitter guard. Spooky immediately hides behind, I think, Callie and casts disguise self to change her appearance. Fildo enters and he's a smarmy fucking asshole. He's just an asshole to everybody. He talks over smoothing relationships between Wolfrine and Barmwich. He's so rude to Nissa, who's a gnome, and he's a halfling, because Nissa's from Shinkick. And the history goes that Shinkick was formed by a bunch of gnomes who felt like they were kind of second-class citizens in Barmwich hundreds of years before, so they left. So Fildo obviously knows this, that she's from Shinkick, and just treats her like garbage. And we're all sitting there watching this being like, how are people letting him be such an asshole? He then starts discussing his wife Cora being placed on the council, Cora Thorngage, who we all know and hate. And then he charms the table.
Yeah, baby.
He uses mass suggestion or something on the whole table. And Neppy is the only one who doesn't get charmed.
Did Kelly get charmed?
Yes.
I don't think I can be charmed.
Not anymore, but back in the day.
Back in the day, I think you got charmed.
Anytime you get brain controlled, it's a charm.
Yeah.
Dang.
So she started calling out and be like, no, you just used magic on the whole table. And then Neppy was quite rude about it, and then she got asked to leave.
Right.
She got asked to leave the room, and she's like, mark my words, you watch out for him. And then through that charming of the table, Cora got granted a seat on the council.
Yeah.
So he's a yucky. He's a big yuck. Spooky then tells us the reason about why she left Barmwich was it Fildo? It was Fildo and the Thorngages. She said they ruined her life, and she didn't do any of the things she was accused of, treason, anything like that. She doesn't know if we can say more at the moment, but we give her all the support. And she knows that Fildo is up to something, and we've got to keep our eyes on him. And that was the end of session 25. Lots of roleplay. Heavy roleplay, heavy session. Len, did you want to do...
I think that was the session where I rolled one of my worst low rolls ever.
Oh, which one?
It was when we were trying to get Kamea to
oh yeah.
And they were dating. They weren't engaged or anything yet, but we were dating, and we were trying to get Kamea to be queen.
Throw in her hat for a queen nomination.
Throw in her hat, queen. And I tried to put my hand on her shoulder nicely and smoothly.
Yep.
And I wasn't smooth in any way of the way at all. I just kind of biffed it.
Yeah. We tried to.
What did you shove her? Like
no, it was just kind of like it was like a 3. It was like I rolled like a 3. Yeah.
Early dating.
Yeah, it wasn't
trying to convince your girlfriend to be queen. Date 2. Like
hey, at least date 3 or 4.
I'm really curious what it was like around the table when Fildo charmed everyone, and Neppy, you're like, fuck you. And everyone playing with you, Emma, would just have to be like, Neppy, come on, it's Fildo. We love this guy. Yeah. Like, how did that actually play out?
I think a lot of people were just silent at that point, and didn't say anything because we didn't get a vote. We didn't get a vote with the council or anything like that. They just didn't protest. I think it's how mostly that played out. And there was Neppy was the only one who was allowed to roll an insight check to see that something was off.
Right.
Because she was the only one who wasn't charmed.
So crazy.
High wisdom save. Yeah, it was frustrating. It was because Neppy's also Neppy at that point was a lot more hardline about a lot of things. And she was just I'm high priestess, you will listen to me kind of person at that point.
That Neppy.
That Neppy has come in useful a couple times. There's a couple times coming up where that has come in useful. Coming up in the next couple sessions, you'll see why. But yeah, so she's not so much like that anymore, but back then she was quite a hardline. So it was frustrating to be I know that he's bad and nobody believes me.
Yeah.
It was frustrating. But
So hard.
So hard. Len, why don't you take it from here? Session 26, The Earth Beneath Our Feet, May 13th, 2019. Go ahead.
I'm just going through.
Yeah, just go through.
Okay. Oh man. This was like after the dinner at Kamea's house, right?
Yeah.
This is where? Okay.
Yeah.
So oh man. So after the dinners at Kamea's house, which was like we all went to Cronin's Crossing. And this is one of our many like bar times, I guess.
Yes, when Blackwater used to go to a lot of bars.
When we used to go to a lot of bars, Callie played a lot more drinking games. Finnan like started a bar fight.
Yes.
This is where we met Tad. Yeah.
This is where we met Tad the bartender.
Spooky.
I didn't know he was okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spooky spoke with someone named Pelpham, right?
Yeah.
Who called her Yana, right? Yeah. And they talked discussing that her mom was a servant in the Bright Keep, and he doesn't know where her father was. He tells her that people had been disappearing and accused of deeds that they didn't do.
So this is where we start seeing that percolating stuff with the Barn Witch arc start to happen.
Yeah, this is after we got home and Yana told her, Spooky told us her name was Yana Wildcloak, and she was a wanted fugitive, which we hadn't known up to this point. I think she even like pulled out her
wanted
poster, and that she was accused of treason because she had found Fildo rigging the election and undermining the process and the proud tradition of Barn Witch. And they put a bounty on her, and she'd been gone for like 5 years. And that was who had just walked into our
council,
like, and charmed, like, so he's still with a bounty on her.
Yeah. Ow. It was so pretty wild.
My cat is eating my hand.
Mishtifer, sweet baby.
Michelle,
please
let go of me. Mish. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Go
ahead. And this is where Neppy offered to scry on her parents, and she found them both. Olin was curled up in the corner. It was in like a pile of crumpled rags. He looked pale and just like not good.
This is Spooky's dad. He's like in a prison somewhere, the meat prison, which we now know.
He was in the meat prison for a while then.
Yes.
Long time, yeah. Finds her mother in what we thought was the Bright Keep, and she was like polishing stuff.
And the big thing about it was that like she had this like absent look on her face. She was just like absently polishing plates, like as if there was like.
God, so much happened in this episode. How are we okay?
How are we okay
how
through this
whole
campaign?
Because Neppy did that, scried on Yana's parents, and then that night Callie was in bed with Kamea, sleeping. They were both sleeping. Callie had a nightmare that she was at the edge of this like vast forest, moving from vibrant to like gnarled and rotten, and then turning into a decaying like swamp. And saw like a monolithic rock and a gnarled path of fire and lava, and she felt a stabbing in her chest, and she woke up from this nightmare. She didn't know what her dream was, but she felt like it was the Feywild. She'd known she had been there, but doesn't remember being there. And then Kamea and her talked about Kamea's home in the Alderwood. Where her people protect the Alderdown Forest, which has the portal to the Feywild.
So, like, in this episode, Tim has already dropped 2 crumbs of 2 arcs, like Barn Witch arc, Feywild arc, and then the next arc, which we decide to go on the next morning. Keep going, Len. You're doing wonderful. This is great.
So he just keeps dropping, like, which thread do you want to pull on? Filthy Tim.
I mean, really, are we surprised considering what he did?
No, it's great. It's disgusting.
It's insufferable. I love it.
The setting is so rich.
The next morning we woke up, we decided we were going to go save Kern and Mira.
In the Earth Elemental Plane.
In the Earth Mental Plane, when both Callie and Spooky are just like, oh God, okay, I guess so. Kreger agreed to help us and help find his friend Gorge, who was in the mine we escaped from. We got some insight from Kreger on our journey. God, this is all
one episode.
About learning about some folks who to look out for. We learned about the Scar, the Giants, the Dow, the Fighting Pits, the Mining, the Goliaths, the Earth Genasi, and the Petch. We learned about the slave market and Bubba and Malik and the Sand Giant who owned Kreger. We learned about Aleem, a giant who trades in the bazaar, and we learn of the Seer, a different kind of giant infused with magic. Sand Spider, Zorn. He talks about Grumbar, the prophecy that Grumbar hasn't been seen in hundreds of years. So this is just like
him just like stirring the pot of so many things.
Stirring the chili.
Stirring the chili. Yes. The lore chili, if you will.
God, this is we went to the Earth Elemental Plane.
Yeah, using the shard of Grumbar that we had taken from Kiva.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Decided to disguise ourselves. Kokanee takes the form of the Goliath. Spooky's a direwolf. Neppy was like a pretty, just like
she's like, I can't really be disguised, so I guess I'm your consort or courtesan or something. I was like, you have to be a rich, like, I think it was decided, or Kreger was like, yeah, you'd need to be rich to be a Goliath and be here. So these people would be your entourage. And
Callie and Finnan were the muscle.
Yeah. And they were like, well, we can't really disguise Neppy because if anyone touches her head, they're going to feel the horns. So
I love this.
So they were like, you're exotic. You're going to be the pretty courtesan who's with him. And I was like, gross, but okay.
We sent to Kern and heard that he'd been injured and was in Zamorod's mansion and heading to the fighting pits again. And then we decided to hide out in an abandoned mine shaft to re-up our disguises. Oh God, right. And as this is happening, we hear the stones like skittering in the ground.
Full of spiders. It's got to be full of spiders. No?
And something emerges that has too many legs, a long body, and wings. And that's where that episode ended.
Yeah. It just crawled out of the wall with too many. And Tim was like, it has too many legs, a long body, and wings. And that's where we're ending it tonight. And we're like, what?
Please, no.
Yeah. So then 2 days later, do you mind if I take this one, Len?
Yeah.
2 days later, we play on my birthday, May 15th, 2019, for the second of the Adonis birthday one-shots. So it was a hard shift because we're in the Earth Elemental Plane, and there was a bunch of people who had this had occurred on the night before we had left for the Earth Elemental Plane. And this is called Angel of the Astral Sea, May 15th, 2019. So Neppy, in her dreams, gets a call from Adonis that he'd been playing a game of cards. Something had gotten freaky, and he needed her help.
Okay.
So he says he's trapped inside a creature with a purple and green tongue, and he's going to transport us somewhere, and we need to ask for Priestess Galatea. And Neppy's like, what do you mean? You're gonna transport us somewhere. He's like, use your ring, Neppy. I know I gave it to you. You still have it. And he's gonna send some friends to help. So this was just people who could make it to my birthday party. So it was myself, Kokanee, Callie. So from Blackwater, and then there was Nyx, a gnomish ranger, and her bear Alfred, Valanthe, a wood elf druid from the campaign set in Ishion, my two friends from there, Whiplash brother Adam DeMarco's high elf bard character Whip was there, Zome Menarnar, who's a tiefling druid from the original Alpha campaign that we played, and PJ, played by Jen, who is a changeling rogue. PJ. Oh, we love that sweet boy.
I remember this one shot.
Right?
So or not one shot, but I remember this.
Yeah. So we're transported to the Astral Sea, to the Waypoint. We are on the steps of the temple, and we meet Priestess Galatea, and she's like, "Oh, Adonis sent you. Okay, all right. What do you need?" And she gives us 100,000 star pieces, which is, I think, their form of money.
Cool.
So she gives us like 100,000 star pieces. She's like, well, go spend it on what you need. Adonis left this here just in case. So take it. It's just sitting here. We were like, okay. So we take all this money down, and she gives us directions to the various shops in the district. And she's like, I'm not really sure where Adonis got himself trapped. Best of luck. Head down to the skiff yard. You might be able to. If he's out somewhere, you're going to need to go.
Oh my God.
That's where Duke Corbano lives.
We're getting there.
That guy's got my hook.
So we go to leave. Princess Galatea sees Nefi's ring, and she has it hold it over like a beam of light that comes down the center of the temple. And it changes on her hand, pulsing with the light, and the gem grows. And Nepi now has access to more souls across the multiverse that she's bonded to, simply because I had more characters that I had played through one-shots throughout the year. So Tim was like, yeah, you get 3 more, or 2 or 3 more characters added to your. I was like, sick. This is great. So we go through a myriad of shops and stores and outfit ourselves. Some notable shops include the Ware's House, which was a magic item shop, Bribbins, barbiturates, and other things you can imbibe, a potions shop. Right. Rune Town. Oh, I want to go to Rune Town so bad because you can get runes etched into things that give you powers. Like, Nepi was like, I was trying to convince the party to let me spend like 60,000 star pieces on to get something etched into the gold pieces that I wear on my horns. I was like, please. And they were like, oh, we've all got things that we want to buy. I was like, that's okay. It's cool. That's all right. We then
But it's my birthday.
I didn't pull the "It's my birthday" card. I was like, everyone is here.
My birthday.
But it's my birthday. And I was like, no. I just want all my friends to have all the cool things. So someone bought a robe of stars. Someone bought a dreadnought arrow. There was like a whole bunch of shit that we bought. There was another store called Fine and Exotic Clothing by Stitcher, which is a magical clothing shop. La Arca Magica, a magical creature shop that had a nilbog in it. And Smash Cut and Block, which was a magical armor and weapons shop.
That's where the pretty lady works.
Yes, there was a very pretty lady that worked in Smash Cut and Block, and she flirted with Callie hard.
Tim Carlson.
And that's where Kelly's I have a girlfriend started. But I think that was the first I have a girlfriend.
Yeah, that was happened. The first big, tall, pretty lady that flirted with Callie.
Not the last, though.
Definitely not the last. So we get kitted out pretty well. We then head down to the skiff yard, and we meet Duke Corbano. And he's a delight. We tell him about our troubles, and he says that, he and Adonis are old friends. And here you can, rent these skiffs from me, and here's some hooks so that you can get around in the astral sea. And you're probably going to go out there. There's a dreadnought out there. Just be careful. We saw one a little while ago, and we're like, fuck, you're going to make us fight a dreadnought, Tim.
Definitely.
Yep.
What are one-shots for?
So we sail out of the waypoint, and we sail for a time before we come across said astral dreadnought. We fight with it, as well as a Gith pirate who comes along and saw us in peril and then started trying to pick us off to take our stuff. Yep. So Kokanee and Callie both got swallowed by the dreadnought, and they transported to the donjon inside the dreadnought, and they find Adonis there, just chilling, just hanging out and being like, oh, Kokanee and Callie, it's so nice to see you here. I gotta get out of here. Once the dreadnought is defeated, Adonis is like, they climb out of the dreadnought, the dead dreadnought that is just now floating in the astral sea. And we sail back to the waypoint, and Adonis is like, oh, thank you so much for your help. I gotta get back to my card game. And then he fucking sends us home with no memory of anything. None of us
wiping the memory.
Wipe our memories. Nobody remembered anything.
Yeah, we need to make a save.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot that episode a little bit because it was like a couple of years ago. Callie got eaten by something again.
Yes, I think that was one of the beginnings of where Callie got, one of the first things that Callie got eaten by. It
needs to stop.
Someone else is going to have to take the lead on
her
that.
Brain, the worm,
we took care of the brain. We got to get you armor that is
anti-eating
spicy.
armor.
Well,
we got to get you really spicy armor.
I lost the ability. Sorry, I just read.
Callie is a snack.
Callie is a snack.
Right.
Right. But she's
Chat
married.
knows.
So she's
Chat
married.
knows.
But yeah, I don't have my abilities to bop out of things anymore. I can protect my friends, but I have to stay in the space that I'm in.
You also have really kick-ass armor now.
Yeah, we need to get that fixed though, because it's dented.
A mending spell would probably fix that.
Would it? Yeah, because it got crushed under the mercury.
Yeah, put Kogan's Lightkeeper on it.
He can dual cast it. He's good to go. He's fine.
It's the cantrip's OP. Like
the cantrip that keeps on cantripping, you know?
Yeah. Triple cast it even.
Yeah, well, Neppy can cast it now. Neppy has taken it as well.
Quadruple cast it, baby.
Okay, Len, you go. Session 27, The Fighting Pits of the Scar, May 19th, 2019.
Oh, I've heard about this one. This was great.
Yep.
So
this one's real exciting. Go on then.
This is a real good one. So so where we left off was the too many legs, wings, big, dark cave. It was a young cave dragon. And it ended up fleeing before we were able to kill it. It used its darkness ability, but Finnan was still able to hit the thing for some reason.
He was like, yeah, I could see it, even though it popped up darkness, even magical darkness. Yeah. And we're like, that's great, pal. Awesome.
Yeah.
Good job. Because this is also Finnan's first adventure that he'd been with us on. We were just like, hey, we have to go to this place. He's like, I'll go. Yeah, Kern and Mira are innocent, because Finnan's whole thing at that point was like, I have to save the innocent people. I have to save the innocents. I have to protect the innocents and save the innocents. And we're all just like, we don't need your protection. We don't. But like, if you really want to come with, like, we'd offered him an out too. We were just like, if you really want to come with us, you don't have to. We're going to maybe go to this really weird place we've never been to before. Some bad shit might happen. He's like, I'm coming with you. I'm coming with you, and I'm going to save the innocent people. And we're like,
Often.
Okay, here we go.
It fled. I don't think it came back. Like, no. We tried to, we changed up our disguises. Neppy and Yana were direwolves.
Yeah.
The rest was the same.
Because Neppy was not down with being the courtesan anymore, because some people had been like, oh, this is exotic. Yeah. And I was like, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I respect sex work, but no, thank you.
Yeah. We went through the city seeing some of Aline's pets and a harnessed 6-legged beast pulling a cart of gems. As we turned the corner, there was Liam, who was an olive-skinned desert giant who was stooped, and he was like wearing this like makeshift backpack. He asked us who we are, and we played off that with like saying we're merchants and that we'll be on by to see his shop. We made our way toward the fighting pits because we're still trying to save 2 of our friends here.
Yeah.
We saw a humanoid being who was an earth genasi ahead of us, wearing like a green vest and pants, who was keeping a close eye on us. And we saw these just like giant statues of marble and granite lining the path towards the pit.
The pit being, of course, the name for the fighting pits in the Scar, just known as the pit.
We saw a statue of Kiva, known as the Breaker of Barbos, and then we see Barbos.
Kiva Flinthand?
Yes.
Great. It's all come together.
Who is the sand giant who wore the wraps that Kiva wore, and then Torn wore and was buried with.
Yeah. So fun fact about those wraps. So Kiva was wearing these hand wraps. And we took them, Torin wore them, and then we buried Torin in them. But she took them from Barbos. So they are this is just a little Chatwater exclusive, because Torin is buried under a temple, and we are not going to dig him up.
Which temple?
The Temple of Arathis.
Okay.
He's buried under that temple. Those are they're from the Tal'Dorei campaign guide. They're a vestige from the Tal'Dorei campaign guide. Those are the wraps of Dymak, which are like a legendary monk weapon. That if you go to take them, you have to kill the person who was previously wearing them. So like Torin could take them from Kiva because he killed her. Kiva could take them from Barbos because she killed him. But if we went to take the wraps off of Tauren, one of us would have had to fight ghostly Tauren.
Rad.
Oh, would it have been ghostly Tauren that we would have had to fight, not Zakkus, because technically Zakkus killed Tauren, and then technically Callie killed Zakkus, so technically the wraps are Callie's?
I believe it was an explosion that killed Tauren.
But we didn't kill Tauren, so we can't
have
take
to fight
the
an explosion.
We'd have to fight Ghost Tauren.
That's
just a fun little Chatwater fact.
With those statues there, would letters have been there, or was it only dead champions?
He never made it to champion. He was a contender. That little joke where it's like, y'all ruined my life, I could have been champion. That's like, Chatwater will get to you. But if Blackwater and letters would have never lined up, there's a good chance he could have been champion or just dead. Yeah. That's how it goes in the gladiatorial ring.
Oh yes. My God.
Yeah, so no letters.
No letters.
Okay, keep going, Len.
Yeah, we saw a jade building off to the side. Kreger told us that it was Zamorod's compound.
Fucking hate that guy.
Yeah. We got into the pit to see in the box seats are like Drow and their guards on their sides, the desert giants on the other.
The Dow, sorry.
The Dow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
There are cages built into the lower walls of the pit, sent to release some fun little beasts and creatures. And that's where we saw the fight ongoing, a desert giant and a large formed creature with a weird maw. Kreger informed us that was Zorn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't talked to Kreger in so long.
We don't really talk to him anymore. Him and Gorge.
We used to talk to him so much.
He used to be the only Petch with us at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the one I saved, right?
Yes, he's the OG Petch.
The OG Petch, Callie and Camilla saved together.
I keep saying this. You got to bring your wife to the Blackwater Bar and Grill and just have a lovely date night. Like, have some scrambled eggs, see your friends. We have a kids menu.
I think we played it through on Blackwater that Callie and Camilla were like, yeah, we never go there.
We never go out.
Like, to each other. We never go to. Yeah, the two of them don't go out. It's the queen and her wife. Like, I feel like there's some. I don't know.
They went out in Southwatch when they were on vacation.
Yeah.
When you went surfing, I think
there was like a little bit of crowds, wasn't there?
Yes,
like there was
a little bit. Yeah,
we went out early morning to be.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is the Blackwater Bar and Grill has ghost bouncers. If anyone tries to give you trouble, like, they got it taken care of. Codis.
Codis would be so on that.
I'm still waiting for that not Callie. The Kamea and Letters conversation where Kamea like thanks Letters for protecting her wife with the thing.
I want that. I can't wait.
We saw
We'll let that one sit. Give that one time. The longer that one goes on, the better it'll be. Like a fine wine.
Yeah, it'll just be like at Callie's funeral one day.
Barf, get out of here. Keep loring. Get out of here.
We saw Zamrod in a very high box with the large hammer made of emerald. We saw Kern and Mira next to him. Them looking like he's stealing himself. Kern looking like he was like stealing himself to go in. He seemed to have lost an arm. Mira's serving drinks and food for everyone. We made our way towards them. We were approached by an Earth Genasi in the green vest and pants who identifies himself as Glint, liaison for Zamrod.
Actually one of his kids, technically, but introduces himself as a liaison for Zamrod.
Fun. We pitch it to him to fight whomever and whatever he'll throw against us. If we can have Kern and Mira, we try to play it off like we're curious about them. Glint knows there's something up. But after conferring with Zamrod, agrees that it's a fight to the death. If we win, we get Kern and Mira. If we lose, we die. We didn't know who we'd be fighting. Yeah. So that's when we were led down to the tunnels below the pits. God, this was such an episode.
I know.
We were led down to the tunnels below the pits by a Petch named Crag. Crag?
Yep.
Who had met Kreger before. They lead us in. Kern isn't with us. We go into the ring and see that we're set to fight a desert giant named Kazim, Zorn, 2 basilisks, and Kern. The fight kicks off with Neppy using feigned death to make it seem like she killed Kern so we can get him out.
So in that moment,
so clever.
Yeah. So we realized that Kern was fighting on the opposite team, and we were like, oh no. What am I gonna do? Because I can't kill.
It's fight to the death.
It's fight to the death. So I need to make it look like I killed Kern. And then I was like, I looked at Kern and because feign death, you have to be willing.
Yeah.
And I looked at Kern and I was just like, let it happen. And he was like, oh, okay, Nippy. And then I and then I cast feign death on him and he just fucking passes out. And I just and the crowd went nuts because it looked like Neppy one shot killed him.
Yeah. Oh my God. So we could get him out. We ended up killing everything. Yana turned Kazum into a zombie under her control. At the end of the fight, Neppy points up at Zamrod using Destroy Undead, crumbles Kazum into dust. After doing this, gets smoked by just like a spear in her shoulder, which almost knocked her out. Malik, a powerful desert giant who was Kazum's uncle. Malik,
So it was just like, so Yana had been raising like Kazim as a zombie because he was so big, and then I was like, yeah, a real fuck you to Zamrod. So Neppy just goes like, and then just crumples him. And then she just like, because she's standing the dower over there, the sand giants are behind her, and she just gets hit and like knocked to the ground and almost pinned to the ground by this like 12-foot long spear that Melek threw into her shoulder. It knocked me down to like 3 hit points. I would have been out. Yeah, it was bad.
God. We made our way out. We met up with Lynn. Callie carrying Kern over her shoulder because we were like, he's dead. He's like, we get him.
Yeah.
Saying dead is fine as alive. Mira is brought to us. We're given Champion's drink, which is in a cask. And it's a fermented drink made from spider milk.
This is the first time spider milk was ever been brought in, and we were like, we all drank it. Yeah.
Krager told us that we're really lucky to get that. We take a couple sips. It's heavily alcoholic. Glenn also invites us to dine with Zamrod, and we say we'll let him know. Then we left and we made our way over to the slab, a marble building that serves as an inn and lodging.
And that was the end of the episode. And then I think we have time for one more, because this will truly get us to letters. Session 28, done and dusted, May 26th, 2020. Yeah, I think this is actually a pretty short little recap anyway, because we've had a couple questions in the chat that they want to throw to you, Sean.
Absolutely.
So as we approach the slab, which is this marble building, we see various creatures tied up outside, or various creatures outside, sorry, not tied up. Dow, there's some Petch that are chained, reptilian creatures that are tied up. There's Earth Genasi men and women and folks serving various patrons. It seems to be more the Dow part of town, because it seems like the Scar is divided. There's the Dow on one side and the Giants on the other. We pay for rooms and we realize that they are overcharging the shit out of us. They're just like, they're charging us an exponential amount of money because they know we're not from here. And we're just like, we'll pay whatever you want. We don't want to cause trouble. I'm not here to bargain. Like, I just want to pay for my rooms and have some peace and quiet.
Yeah.
So Kern and Mira hide out in the rooms. We end up waking up Kern. He's like, oh my God, what happened? And we're like, you're out. It's okay. We're going to get you home. And they just pass out, because they'd essentially been in slavery for a couple weeks, or like maybe 2 weeks, and we had finally gotten them out. So we take a long rest, because all of us were hurting after that fight. Then the next morning, we see that there are 3 desert giants watching us from outside the windows across the street. We meet up and we decide to decline Zamrod's invitation for dinner. And we go downstairs to start our day. However, just as we're about to settle in for some breakfast, we see this very handsome, very dashing Minotaur approaching us, waving goodbye to a lady Minotaur that he's leaving the bar. He's wearing a cape with an insignia of 2 horns, and he introduces himself as Letters. He says he works for Baba, who's a new up-and-comer in the Scar with an eye for fighters, and she wants us to make an offer to come fight for her. He'll offer us 1,000 gems up front as an incentive, and we have to get the rest as a signing bonus if we come to have dinner with her.
Let me tackle this. So this has to date been my favorite way to start a campaign, just for me, because Tim was like, here's the deal. I was like, I'm a Minotaur gladiator. He's like, sick. You work for this person. You have this much money to offer these people. So I just had $6,000 sitting in my pocket, and he was just like, which Letters just took with him. Letters was the richest one in the party and still is.
Yes, by far.
Yeah.
But it was just like, yeah, your job is to convince these people. And I was like, oh, Sean Deppner is good at that.
Well,
and it was just
because originally the setup had been like, because I think it was like we were playing D like out of character, of course. Like we were playing D&D that night, and the only way that Adam would have been able to make it, because you and Adam were at Yanis's bachelor party.
Oh yeah,
that weekend, and the only way that Adam would have been able to make it is if you gave him a ride, and because he didn't have a car, and so Adam was like, "Can Sean just come guest?" And we were all like, "Yeah, of course, Sean can come guest."
It was like, oh yeah, while you're 2 or 3 sessions while you're in the elemental plane or whatever. Yeah. So I was just like, I'm going to try to throw a spoke, a thing in the spokes, and just genuinely trying to convince them to stay. I'm going to do my best. And I think I got pretty close. I was like, yo, you got to be a prize fighter. It's rad. I do it. I love it. Y'all are going to dig this. There's so much money.
You were, I mean, as far as Letters went, you were like very invested in us becoming some of Baba's fighters.
Yeah. I'm good at what I do. You can give me a mission. But then there was a turning point.
Yes.
At one point,
go ahead.
The party. Now I know what happened.
Chatwater, you're getting there. Sean's getting there.
This is Sean Deppner's time. Burn your clocks, fight your trees, and it's Sean Deppner's time. The tipping point where they're like, "Oh, thank you very much. This all sounds really great, but we actually have to get out of here." And I was like, "What?" Letters was like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go back to our home plane." And Letters like, "You can do that? That you can't leave the scar." And they're like, no, we can. Do you want to come? And Leonard was like, yeah. It was just like, oh, I never knew there was an option to leave, so I've just been making the best for myself. But you guys are bouncing. And then from that moment, it was like, I need to make sure these people make it out alive.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So we said, come sit with us. Yeah. And basically we say, we're going home soon. We can't stay here. He's shocked that we have the potential to leave. And he says, I'll show you around the scar while you're here. And we say, we'll think about his offer. And he's really like, I'm going to hang out with these people.
Callie didn't like Letters here.
No.
Callie didn't like Letters.
What didn't Callie like about him?
She didn't dig him. She didn't enjoy what he was laying down or his vibe. She was pretty wary of him.
I mean, I guess.
I was basically trying to recruit you to a life of slavery.
Yeah. Indentured servitude.
Servitude.
Where you get the rewards of being like a prize fighter.
Yeah,
and all the
indentured
accolades.
Celebrity.
Yes, an indentured celebrity.
It's great. You get all this awesome stuff. You are technically property, but if you're ever going to be property, let me tell you, that was more or less the conversation.
So we head to the bazaar, and we take a look around, and we poke through Aleem's shop, and we see some really cool items in there. And most surprisingly, we see some of the items that were in the Adonis one-shot that our characters had when we got sent out of the waypoint. Because basically anything you get when Adonis has you gets distributed into the world. So there's a robe of stars somewhere. There is all of this kind of stuff somewhere that we could just find. And there was the Circlet of Need, which is a very, very powerful magical item, which was in Aleem's shop, which we did not have enough money for at the time, and I was choked. I was sad because I was like, that is a good
I think about that often. I think about that item often.
It's a very good item. So we then go to Jongle's Conch. This is the first time we go to Jongle's, and Letters knows the bar run by the Dow Jongles, and we chat more about the deal, and then we say to Letters, like, no, we can't be prize fighters for Baba. We have to get out of here. But we got to go break this petch out because we promised our friend we would. Do you want to come? And Letters is like, yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Let's
do it.
So Letters has a good relationship with Jongles, so he offers us to have us come into the back room so we can plan. But just as we're about to go in, we get attacked by 4 desert giants and a basilisk from outside in the street. We end up killing 2 of them, and then we run the fuck away. from the other two because we were getting low on hit points and they were just smoking us with boulders. And it was it. And that's where we end that session.
Bliggity bloom.
Man.
And here we are, the party as it is now. Callie, Letters, Finnan, Kokanee, Yana, Neppy.
Blackwater Prime.
Blackwater. The full Blackwater.
True Blackwater.